Hey everyone, how's it going? Hope you're all well. Again, thank you all very much for tuning in. I really appreciate the support, both for the shop and the YouTube and Facebook. And I've started posting on Instagram more because I used to, before I even had the shop, back when I had my old fish room, I used to post quite a bit on Instagram. Then I kind of went away from it, but I'm trying to go back to it. So make sure I'll leave the link below. Make sure you chuck us a cheeky follow if at all possible. But yeah, I mean, that's enough of the boring stuff, really. I mean, you're not here for that. You're here because we're going to talk about. It's kind of a two-parter, but I think they're related. So they're both important. So we're going to be talking about the two things that I think really make an aquarium, that we as fish keepers just forget about, and it's kind of silly. So here we go. As usual, what we're going to do is I'm going to walk around and show you fish while I talk. But I hope you enjoy what I have to say. So, the first part, so basically the idea of what we're talking about is looking at our fish and like being able to view them and enjoy them and all that sort of thing. And there's two things that really, are really important in this, oh hi, there's me. There's two things that are really important in this space that we just completely neglect. So, the first part we're going to talk about is the outside of the glass, right? So that is obviously, the glass is really important. Seeing in the glass is really important. If you can't see through glass, you can't see the fish. So what we normally think of is if this was the tank that we're talking about, all tanks are going to get like a little bit of like a film basically of like algae and stuff growing in the front, all around it. So I don't know if we're going to be able to see it, but I left it here. So you can kind of see, I did clean some of it, but I like half of it, but then I left half of it undone. And it's not really focusing, but you can see this line. So that's obviously what everyone thinks about. And we'll use magnet cleaners like this, use a credit card, use algae pads, use whatever to clean that. But then what we forget is if this is the tank here, and there's just okay, that didn't do anything, but that's for a different reason that I'll get to. But if there's fingerprints and dust and stuff all over the front of the glass, we're not going to be able to see in the glass. We get often, I don't know if this camera's going to pick it up, but there's water droplets and hard water marks and fingerprints and dust and random gunk, bits of food gets dropped on it and then sets, and everything just happens. And what that does is it just makes everything a little bit harder to see. So what I'd really recommend doing is remembering to clean the outside of your glass as well as the inside of the glass. I must admit, it's something I never really cared about personally. I always kind of just was yeah, whatever, glass is glass. But then I actually started using the API Safe and Easy, but I mean, you can use whatever, just even use white vinegar or something, or a cloth, damp cloth, or a microfiber cloth or something like that, just to clean the glass, and I promise you'll notice such a difference with your aquarium. I quite like the API Safe and Easy because it's got silicone in it, which basically what that does is it leaves a protective film over the front of the glass, and then obviously with that film, what it does is it prevents further dust from landing on the glass, and it kind of protects it makes it more fingerprint resistant, watermark resistant and all that sort of thing. So, I mean, I personally like that, but I'm not trying to sell you stuff. Just use a cloth with a slightly damp cloth, and then, wipe it down with a slightly damp cloth, and then get a dry, microfiber cloth or whatever, and then wipe away to dry it out. And I promise you will notice such a big difference and just how nice your aquarium looks, how nice your fish look. It's kind of that same idea that people go back to with the ultra clear glass movement that kind of goes on. But it's it doesn't matter how clear the glass is, if it's covered in fingerprints, you're not going to be able to see anything interesting. So, I mean, I'd really recommend that. The second part is maybe a little bit different, but I think still related to the you've got to look at your fish to enjoy them kind of aspect, and that is lighting. This idea kind of came to me because a friend mentioned it to me the other day, something about it, not related, but something that brought the thought to my mind is we'll put planted tanks to the side, because obviously plants are going to need proper lighting and all that to grow. But we're just talking about purely about fish. So, like, say, imagine this is the tank we're talking about here. Just like some rocks, some fish, some sand, nothing else. So obviously the light's not going to matter in that aspect. But what you'll notice is the difference between like a really, so like you can use both. I don't want anyone to think I'm saying if you don't spend money, don't bother. You don't even need a light. If you just have nothing on it and you enjoy it, that's the main thing. But if you maybe you have a little bit, you get a bonus from work, you got a bit of extra money spent on your tank, and you don't know quite what you want to use it for, I would suggest that getting a really nice light is going to make such a difference. So, like, for example, I don't know how this is going to come up on camera, but if you look at, oh, you can't really see it, but this half of the LEDs in this light are blown because this is a cheapy crap light. And this tank, I'm never happy with how this tank looks. I am going to replace it because everything's always just too dim, and it's not really like crisp. Then you like look at this light, this tank, and it looks so crisp. And I I do change the lights around every now and then, and it's purely just because the lights are crap on the one and nice on the other. And so like what you'll notice is if you get, I find a lot of the plant lights actually make fish look really nice. It doesn't have to be, you know, like don't just go and buy like, oh, whatever the nicest plant light is, but like a full spectrum LED plant light just makes your fish pop so beautifully. It makes you, what it also does is I find it often makes the water very like kind of crystal clear, or like shines through the water in a way. I don't really know how to describe that any different, but it just lets you see the fish so much better. And those kind of like LEDs, just a bright light. Obviously, you got to be careful with the algae, of course, but like just some really strong, good lights, good quality lights, really makes such a difference. And it's one that I find a lot of people sort of skip out on, or not necessarily skip out on, but oftentimes it's just a question of how cheap of a light can I get away with. And I mean, I 100% get it. I've been there. I mean, I've been there all the time, even though I know, you know, I'm the one making the video. I know what I'm trying to say, but even in those situations, oftentimes I'll just be like, oh yeah, I'll just get whatever cheapy light is available. And like everything, like you just get like, imagine you have like just white or just sort of yellowy orange LEDs or fluorotube. It just looks so kind of bland and boring and like, it's fine. The fish don't really like pop, but you can see. And like for plenty of applications, that's fine. Maybe it's your first tank, don't want to spend a lot of money. Maybe you don't have any money to spare. Maybe you don't. Maybe it's a breeding tank, so you don't really care. Like, it can be anything. And I'm not trying to judge or anything, but having a proper, like, real nice light. If you're trying to make a really nice, real fancy display aquarium, and you really want, like, you want everyone who comes into your house to get blown off their feet, 100% a good light and clean glass is basically the most important things, I reckon. Of course, you need other stuff. You know, you need mechanical filtration. Maybe you want to look at chemical filtration, all that kind of jazz. But I would suggest that actually looking at real, like some good lighting and like investing some money in good lighting is going to make such a difference and going to make you, like, honestly, it'll make you kind of go crazy. Like, it's just, I just can't recommend it enough. Things that I reckon we as hobbyists always forget. I'm 100% guilty of it myself. Plenty of times, like, actually. So this tank, I was looking at this tank yesterday, I think it was, and I was just like, man, why does this look so weird? Like, these fish don't look as good as they normally do. Like, something's going on. And so I like take a closer look, and it was just like, because obviously this is the counter this is a shop counter, so like obviously, you know, people paying for their stuff and like little kids putting their fingers all over it, of course. Not that I'm complaining, but I was like, why does it look weird? And there was just fingerprints and there was like smudges and stuff, and I was like, oh, that's right. And so I whipped out my my cloth. I got these cloths from my Seachem rep. I don't know, it's kind of microfiber, I guess, But I used those to clean that, and it made such a difference, even to the like how cool the fish looked, how cool the tank looked, how clear the water looked, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean that's what I'd really recommend. I honestly think it makes such a difference, and trust me, you'll thank yourself. So yeah, that's all I had for today, though, folks. Thank you guys very much for watching. Let me know down below what you think. I'd love to hear what you guys think, your guys' experience. Maybe there's something else that you guys do that I've not thought of that makes more of a difference. I'd love to hear it. But yeah, I mean, thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Love you all, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.